The hosts of bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
So, tomorrow's Halloween. It is October 30th when this episode releases. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time just talking about some of our favorite costumes of ours or of other people's, and see, hit that nostalgia button a little bit. Mainly because over the last, couple of weeks, I've constantly been thinking about my favorite Halloween costume, which was something that my mom made for me. She sewed it together, and it was a tremendous, I'm sure absolutely horseshit, but tremendous Green Ranger costume, with the shield and everything. And it was
That's
dope.
legit.
I would wear that thing everywhere. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's funny. Mine was store-bought though, but so maybe not as sentimental, but I definitely remember being a Power Ranger at one point as a kid. I mean,
we were almost Power Rangers 8 years ago.
I was a Power Ranger. Yeah, I was a Power Ranger. I was.
Yeah, I don't need to be reminded of you and that skin tight.
Yeah, it was one of those body morph suits. God, I was
they call it a morph suit for a reason because it
was
shows everything.
25 pounds lighter back. Thank God. But yeah, it was one of those full skin tight body suits. And what was most disturbing about it is that I cut a little, I cut a little slit across the mouth part.
Oh, yeah.
So I could stick my tongue out of it and go, it was crazy.
FYI, for those listening, Scott was our manager at the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
We were forced to wear basketball shorts under it to work in order to be HR. Oh, you're right. Over it. We had to wear basketball shorts over it in order for it to be HR approved for work. So we all had to have basketball shorts that matched the color of our Power Rangers outfit.
I've never been more thankful for HR in my life.
We did not wear the basketball shorts when we wore them out to the bar later that night, though.
I did not go out to the bar with you later that night.
No, you did not.
I did.
What about you guys?
I think I did. I don't remember. Which probably means I did.
Any nostalgic costumes or anything like that?
Without a doubt, my favorite costume and my favorite time wearing this costume was Ash from Evil Dead. And the first time, I have loved those movies since I was very young. And
Just
I was
a wee lad.
Yeah, I was probably
32
18
when
or
it came
19
out.
at this point. And there was a house punk rock show in Blacksburg, and they were doing a Halloween costume contest. So the winner of this costume contest, by the way, got a 6-pack of Natty. But I decided...
Is that legal?
No. It was a house show. It was a punk rock house show.
That's fair.
Anyway.
Shit.
Sorry. You were barreling through your story so hard that I was wondering when you were going to breathe, and I missed the detail about House Party. I apologize. I'm back. I'm focused.
Okay. Well, anyway, I spend weeks putting this costume together. I made a chainsaw for a hand. I got the blue shirt and the khakis, and I distressed them. I ran them over with my car to give them the track marks. I did everything to be as authentic as I could with a $0 budget. And then the night of the show, I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to know who this character is, because they are campy movies, and I grew up in a very small town, so I didn't know. I get there and everybody loves the costume. They're taking pictures. I win the Natty. It was a great night and a great costume.
Is this the same house party that you lit a couch on fire while someone was sleeping on it?
No,
that's a different party.
Yeah,
that was a different one. Okay,
I was at that party.
Yeah, that was another party.
I think Mine is also from college age, the one that I'm most proud of, and I think I know I had the most fun in as a costume. Was in college. I couldn't tell you which year, but it was the Dick in the Box from Saturday Night Live. I recreated that. I had to wear. It was so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. I had to wear like a belt
box on your dick.
Yeah. Yes. I had to take so much Viagra. No, I had to.
That's the only thing holding the box up.
Just had to stay hard all night.
Viagra and a prayer.
Guys, it's slipping. The box is coming off.
I had to wear this like belt underneath my clothes. So I had to like underwear and then belt, and then the belt had like paper clips and stuff wrapped. Again, zero budget. This is college. Yeah. Paper clips and duct tape wrapped around it to make this like structure that would stick out, and then I could hook the box onto, and that would hold it in a flattering upright position, not just dangling, you know?
And it's not just a flaccid box.
Yeah, no one wanted that. And then I had to like put pants on and zip up as much as I could. And then I used safety pins to hold the pants in the rest of the way because I didn't, want anything actually flying out without consent.
Flying out? What is it, a bat? Like, you open the belfry and it just...
Yes, exactly. It was so uncomfortable because that paper clip was just digging into my actual dick all night. But it was the most fun I ever had in a costume for sure. Like just being able to dance around and the box like shaking and everyone was just like, oh, and like watching people. They're definitely like watching people like 2 or 3 tables away looking over trying to figure out the physics behind the box and like what was keeping it on. You like catching other people having conversations without me. Super funny. It was a good time.
Knowing that this was at college, I'm just imagining like the math kids like sitting in the corner just jotting down notes and trying to do calculations.
It wasn't that serious, but yeah. You greatly overestimate Radford University.
Especially the math kids there, or the number of math kids.
Yeah.
7 + 4 is 28.
We were a liberal arts college, not the engineering school. That was down the street. They didn't come to us. Well, they did come to us to party, didn't they? Yeah. Because we had the liberal arts girl.
Yeah.
So... that's one part. The other part for this cold open that I wanted to talk about is I want to call Scott out a little bit.
I'm here for what did I do now?
So
sorry, I'm just conditioned to respond that way.
I've
been married for a few years now.
We have been discussing the horror icon champion, right? We're getting to the end. We are coming to the finish line that includes blood and pumpkin guts and all kinds of other things. And I feel like, Scott, you've done nothing but shit on most of these characters. At least their real life counterparts. So I want to know if there's anything you actually believe in.
What do you mean?
Ghosts, demons, Michael Myers, like is anything real?
He clearly
to you?
Believes in safety pins.
I mean, he does believe in safety pins. Probably a little too hard.
The power of paper clips and duct tape. Wow, you're gonna like just put me on blast as like a full-on cynic?
Look, I think you are. I think you're a full skeptic of the supernatural, the paranormal.
I mean, look, I guess you could say I'm a believer enough in that. In like a haunted house situation, like I'll be jumpy or whatever. And well, I know even then, like I'm thinking back to when I was in college, we did we had one of the paranormal investigators from one of those TV shows. I couldn't tell you who. We had them come and we went like across the river from our college. There was an old abandoned insane asylum. St. Albans Insane Asylum. And we took them there and did a whole ghost hunt thing. And they had the equipment and the EMF and all that nonsense. And it went off and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't really fazed by any of it. Like, though, okay, I will one other story. This might be for a longer cold open, though. But this one was freaky. The only thing I've ever had in my entire life that was truly freaky and weirded me out. And it could have been a plant. I don't know. But it was freaky. I was in Savannah, Georgia. and we did this like haunted plantation house tour. So they take you around all these different plantation homes that are in downtown Savannah. You know, they were spread out then, but now there's businesses and stuff. They built the city around them, basically. So they take you around to all these homes, and you tour and you walk through them, and they tell you the stories behind it, and you know, whatever the lore and the legend was that caused the houses to be haunted, and blah blah blah. And all throughout it, it's a bunch of hooey. Like nothing ever really happens. It's just basically story time with lots of walking. So then we get back to the final house, and they tell us the story of what happened in this house. And basically, the owner of it had an affair with one of his indentured servants, and they had a baby, and he was in denial about it and had the baby killed, I think. And then the woman hung herself in the house, and then the wife figured out what happened and killed herself too. But like, I think that was the whole story.
Oh man, that man fucked up.
Yeah, he did real bad job. And then, so the story goes that the indentured servant hung herself in the second floor from the rafters in their quarters. So that's where the tour ends, and you're supposed to go and you give back your EMF and your equipment and everything. And we're in that building, and we're up on the second floor. And there's this two guys that are there, and they've been with us the whole tour. And one of them looks up at the rafters and goes, I wonder which one she hung herself from. And he proceeds to jump up and grab onto one of the rafters. And immediately every EMF in the room goes like they had been silent the whole time. And then they just go off. And we were like, okay, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to be in this building anymore. And like everyone scrambled downstairs. That was freaky. Outside of that, and I don't have a true explanation for it, unless again it was a plant and there's something in there that they do to make, I don't know. Outside of that, I'm not worried about vampires or werewolves or demons or spirits or ghosts or yokai or whatever else might be on the list in Phasmophobia. No.
All right, fuck you then, Dan.
I don't think he's a cynic. I just think he's mad that a ghost hasn't played with his wiener yet.
Oh.
I mean, look, if they want to prove their existence, they know how to do it, okay?
It's a hand job.
Yeah.
Do facials count if you're ethereal?
Yes. Just goes right through. Man, I gotta clean the carpets. Hello and welcome back. And remember, there's no escaping Bookitology. We are here. The final four. Are we ready? Let's get it going. I am a co-host, Scott Grubb.
I am also a co-host, and my camera was really blurry for some reason, Matt.
And I am also a co-host, Dan.
That is right, gentlemen. We are down to the final four, the last picks from each division. Our divisional winners face out against each other this week. What do we have on the docket?
Well, during the now I forgot. Eerie 8, we came down to our fearsome 4, Dracula versus Michael Myers on the west side of the bracket, which is a heavyweight bout, versus Pennywise and Xenomorph on the east side. I don't know why I said versus. So 4 contenders for sure that we have to get down to 1 in this episode.
By the end of this episode, we will have our horror icon championship. Dan, where do we want to start?
I feel like we should start on the east side of the bracket this time.
I think we've started on the east side of the bracket every episode so far.
Really?
No, but
okay.
Last few at least.
Well, this time we are starting with Pennywise versus the Xenomorph.
All right. Any opening arguments to start things off?
I mean, I can definitely understand why these two made it through their respective divisions. They kind of personify horror, and they both come from huge franchises. You see them everywhere. I mean, I can't even tell you how many Pennywise masks you see year in and year out this time of year. And on the Xenomorphs, they have become part of our cultural zeitgeist. I mean, you see like, you know, pictures of like xenomorph cats chasing lasers. I mean, they're everywhere. So yeah, they're titans in this battle.
Dan, have you ever seen the band Pennywise?
Yes.
I kind of figured you would have. I'm just surprised in all these weeks that it's never come up.
That's a fair point.
Matt, Dan started there with something that I thought was interesting. He said that he can see how we got to this point with both of these contenders. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that statement?
Look, there's so many other heavyweights in the paranormal category. It is absolute horseshit the way this entire division unfolded. However,
does it feel like it sort of invalidates the entire bracket?
I mean, not that depends on who wins tonight, you know. Not the whole bracket per se. Here's the thing. I ranked these in my head in the paranormal side of things much differently than either of you did. Annabelle and Chucky never would have moved forward. But I do think Pennywise was up towards the top of that tier list. Just because, you know, it's a fucking creepy clown. Like, it started a whole thing, you know? And I think that I hate clowns. I do think that Pennywise, of the options that we've had since the first round, I do think Pennywise is probably one of the best ones for the paranormal. The Xenomorph, I do agree. I think the Xenomorph is very iconic. I think it's very horrific. I think that it has, to Dan's point, become very much in the zeitgeist and very much something that we expect. So much so that they just keep making alien movies.
So you think we went wrong from round one of the paranormal?
I also want to point out, Matt, that you had to have voted for Annabelle over Pinhead. So you can't be mad at that decision, because I know that I am the only person that voted for Pinhead in that round.
Listen, fake news. Okay, there's
to be fair, I don't really think Pinhead is the specific matchup that he's talking about when where we went wrong in the paranormal.
Not even
side.
A little bit. I mean, Samara from The Ring is way creepier. Fucking Pazuzu, I think, is creepier. I think that Bagul is terrifying. All of these haunt my dreams. Annabelle, Chucky, I hate them. I hate them with a passion because they're stupid.
Pazuzu sounds like the name of a spin-off Rainforest Cafe pizza restaurant.
Maybe
or
it
an
is.
STD.
I think I did get Pazuzu at Radford. Yeah.
Dread the red bumps.
My college days were not that exciting. No. I'm honestly pretty okay with how both of these turned out. But again, as many times as I mentioned, I haven't seen any of these movies. Maybe I'm not the right one to be making those critical decisions. Okay, that's a lot of backlog in history. What about this matchup, though? Pennywise versus the Xenomorph. Who comes out on top? And is it a statement of their icon level or of their horror level? Dan, you're talking on mute.
I didn't know that. I don't know about you guys, but I will just say that despite how much I love both of these characters, I do truly feel like one outclasses the other in both definitions of this category. So the horror aspect and the icon aspect. all due respect to the Xenomorph and that universe, I love everything about that universe. But when it comes to being iconic, especially during spooky season, that clown face is everywhere. You see it on stickers on cars, t-shirts, cards, everywhere.
What cards are you seeing Pennywise on? Like Hallmark cards? What kind of cards are you seeing?
Yeah, you see Pennywise on all kinds of like Halloween cards and stuff like that. Maybe I spend an exorbitant amount of time looking at cards.
What is Halloween a cards? Halloween card? Hold on.
They're Halloween cards.
What are you talking about?
There are cards specifically for spooky season.
You're absolutely batshit crazy. Like
No. He's not. It exists.
Yeah.
The question is though, why are you looking at them? Are you buying Halloween cards for people?
Your guys' Halloween cards are in the mail.
First of all, wouldn't surprise me, but I'd more expect you to make the card.
I want you to know right now, if I don't get a Halloween card now, I'm going to be so disappointed. The onus is on you now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that everything that you said has validity, except it's wrong. So the Xenomorph is way more iconic than Pennywise. And I have to have a hard disagree with you on that. You're right. Pennywise around spoopy season, sure, makes a lot of appearances, but outside of that, not so much. The alien's around all the fucking time.
Once every 23 years.
It is constantly, on people's minds. It's people's favorite movies. It's and it's a series, right? It's not a one-shot made-for-TV movie that got broke up into 2 parts, then remade into a new one, 30 years later. Like, the Alien movies have continued to make movies, and it's because of the Xenomorph. And they're creepy, they're terrifying. If you met one in a dark alley, it would do so many things to you.
Okay.
None of them consensual.
None of them consensual because you don't get a choice with the Xenomorph. With Pennywise, at least you get a choice. Hey, come down into this sewer. No, I'm good.
So my definition of fear in this instance is, I guess, more tied to survivability, right? Space Marines have survived a Xenomorph. They might be hard to kill, but they are able to be killed. Pennywise, man, can be anywhere at any time, can shapeshift.
Yeah, but it only took 2 movies to kill him.
Did they really kill him? I don't know if they actually killed him.
I don't know. I haven't watched those movies.
No, I don't remember.
I mean, I don't know, man, because no matter how many times you kill the Xenomorph, there's another one there. There's a bigger one. There are more eggs. There are face huggers left and right. I don't know. The Xenomorph, to me, if you come up against one Xenomorph, you're coming up against numerous Xenomorphs. Like, it's not a one and done kind of thing. The likelihood of you surviving, and I mean this in the most sincere way possible, Dan, your likelihood of surviving a Xenomorph is way less than surviving Pennywise.
I feel like they're pretty much zero either way. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not Pennywise's chosen demographic at this point.
And you are a very Xenomorph attracted person.
I have never been attracted to a Xenomorph.
No, they're attracted to you, your face.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at me.
Okay. So it sounds like we have 2 votes here. One for Pennywise, one for Xenomorph.
That is not where I thought this was going to go.
I will vote for the Xenomorph because I think it's more iconic. I just do. Yeah.
Okay. I think that you both make, again, valid points. However, Pennywise is going to, if you fall victim to Pennywise is going to either kill you in a very brutal way or suspend you in a constant state of horror so that it can feed off of your fear. It knows most what you're afraid of and will keep you in a dreamlike state facing it for as long as it can, I guess. Xenomorph is a brutal hunting machine, though, that will, Matt's right, probably kill any one of our squishy asses on sight. And then when we're dead, it's over and there's no more concerns. But Pennywise is going to keep you in that state of fear forever. And that clown face is creepy and it's everywhere. And Pennywise definitely comes out on top on this matchup.
Y'all are fucking wild.
So, Matt, here, I'll say this. I actually do agree with you in the fact that the Xenomorph is much more apparent year-round. But Pennywise, I think, just personifies what spooky season is. I think that out of all of the combatants we've talked about, that is the face I equate to horror and spooky season the most out of the competitors that we've talked about here. I'm not saying that's the case for the rest of the bracket, but definitely in this matchup.
All right. Pennywise moves on contestedly. And we move on to the west side of the bracket.
West side?
Dracula. Hello, I want to suck your blood. Versus Michael Myers. Oh, wait, no, that's Psycho.
Yeah.
I can't make the music.
The piano noises?
Yeah, I can't do that. So Dracula versus Michael Myers. Thoughts?
Yeah. I think to me, this is two different genres going to clash, right? Because Michael Myers, I think we would all agree, based on our voting patterns, personified that slasher horror movie that was
Excuse me. We would not all agree based on our voting pattern. You two fuckheads would agree based on the voting pattern.
No, I voted for Jason Voorhees, first of all, in the last round.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm aware, but don't lump me into his squishy ass.
I'm talking about Ghostface.
Gross. All right.
Not his squishy ass face.
Chuckle fucks. So, based on the voting that we did to get to this point, Michael Myers is on the top. And that means the majority of us voted to put him there. That means that the majority of us see him as the personification of the slasher genre. Dracula is the personification of classical horror monster, right? It's an ageless icon that has been around forever. They both are, again, kind of the leads in their categories.
Yeah, you could have said the same thing about Xenomorph and Pennywise.
I think it's a little bit, when you talk about just her, like, scary ass fictional beast, there's a lot that I don't know. I would put Predator up there against the Xenomorph.
Smaug.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, Smaug.
That was a delay.
Seriously.
It took me a minute.
I understand what you're saying about Michael Myers. I do disagree. I think that Jason, to me, at least personally, is more that slasher, and Ghostface is more that slasher king for Scott. But I do have to throw out just some facts from a Dracula perspective. So, being Dracula's advocate here, do you know how many movies Dracula has appeared in?
A shit ton.
That's not a number.
More than 2.
That's correct. Scott?
136.
Over 200 movies.
Yeah, it was closer.
Over 200 movies. He is second only to Sherlock Holmes in terms of appearances in movies.
Hmm.
Television, according to Google's AI, Dracula has appeared in TV adaptations, so that's a thing. Over 1,000 novels have been written about Dracula or vampires. Comics, stage, animation, like Dracula is
I feel
Dracula.
like to say, quote, over 1,000 for books is kind of the equivalent of saying more than 2. Like, it's way more than that at this point.
I mean, it's a likely possibility, but I mean, vampires for the last, I don't know, what would you say, 40 years have been one of the top grossing horror creatures ever.
I think outside of zombies, they are probably the most.
Yeah,
Wait,
just
are you
utilized
lumping in like Twilight with this?
all vampires.
Okay.
Because even in Twilight, right, it comes from somewhere. Dracula is generally the top of that family tree in most of those stories. Like without Dracula, you don't have Twilight. You don't have Buffy. You don't have
Without My Chemical Romance, you don't have Twilight.
I mean, hey. I don't entirely understand that reference, but we'll keep moving. I just want to say that I think Dracula holds a lot of weight in just how much he's been around and done as a character. No offense to Michael Myers, and I'm not necessarily casting my vote here. I just want us to take all of these things into consideration, right?
I get you. And I mean, you know, as I'm akin to do, I was ragging on Dan there for a little bit, but again, like you said, I get where you're coming from. These are two very different categories of movies, right? Classics versus slashers, which really like got its big kind of pick up, you know, well after these characters were established and hell, even public domain by that point. So I don't know. They stand out amongst their peers. It just, again, it goes back to that question: which one's more terrifying? Which one's more iconic? And where do we put the weight in that conversation? I think kind of like what Matt was saying there. To me, the Dracula character is more iconic just because it spans all ages,
Centuries.
it spans centuries, it spans generations, and in current time it spans all ages, right? Kids know vampires, they know Dracula. And then again, I think we kind of talked about it before. As you grow older, your viewpoint of Dracula changes and your frame of reference changes, but the character is still there. Michael Myers, that window's a little narrower as far as relevance and introduction to it. I think that carries Dracula's icon level significantly higher. It's just it's longer lasting, and it has a greater frame of reference for everyone in their individual lives. However, Michael Myers is definitely the more, and maybe it's because Dracula's been around so long and that it's been watered down some, or it's had milk poured all over it in the case of various cereals. But Michael Myers is the scarier of the two for sure.
I was gonna ask if that, level of icon actually had the opposite effect on its horror factor, right? Because if you just take Dracula as the character, especially as the character was originally known, yeah, he's a scary motherfucker. But in those years since his creation, he has become a character on Sesame Street. He has become a breakfast cereal. You see cartoon images, especially this time of year, everywhere. And again, that makes him more recognizable to children and more accessible to children. But does that make him less horrific?
I mean, I think the argument against that, because I see what you're saying, and you're right. It has been watered down a little bit. The legend of Dracula has become something that you can tell children and it not be, a thing where they're not going to sleep for the night. But if they watch Michael Myers and if they watch Halloween, yeah, they're probably going to get pretty freaked out. But I think that we also have to take into account just the reach, right? And if we look at what he is initially, and look at Michael Myers as what he is initially, they both, over time, after years of movies and different iterations, and fucking Michael Myers is in Fortnite as a character. Like, I think they both have a little bit of that. So what are they to begin with, right? I mean, Michael Myers has superhuman strength. He can survive a ton of injuries. He's been stabbed and, all other kinds of things. But other than that, he's just kind of a guy, right? He's a psychotic person, but he's not like an immortal being. Dracula is immortal, can create other vampires. Like, Michael Myers isn't starting a Michael Myers cult, where he's got followers that have the same abilities as him.
I mean, he might start a cult. They just might not have his powers.
Yeah, that's
just crazy people. There are worse cults out there.
A bunch of crazy, lonely people.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I Googled like, what powers does Dracula have? And there's a list of 20 different things. If you ask what Michael Myers' abilities are in the movies, peak human strength, great durability, and stamina. Right?
I mean,
totally immune to physical pain. But Dracula can shapeshift. Dracula has control over animals, hypnosis, telepathy, superhuman reflexes. He also, just like the Democrats, can control the weather, apparently. So, I mean, I think there's something to be said. With all that time and with all of that watering down comes an evolution to who that character has become.
So I get what you're saying, right? Part of the point against Dracula is perhaps his horror level has decreased because this
iconography. I was thinking about this as I was...
has been around for so long. Let me ask you this, though. Do you think that Michael Myers will last the test of time to where his existence will still be relevant in as many years as Dracula's has been?
I mean, I think it's a different kind of relevance. Do I think that it will last the test of time? Sure. Because again, you don't get to have the movie title Halloween and not be successful. We talked about that in the first round with Michael Myers. But I don't know that it would have the same reach per se, right? Like, Dracula has become an inspiration to hundreds, if not thousands, of authors and screenwriters and things like that to do something new with it, or something new with that lineage in a way. But I don't think that's going to happen for Michael Myers.
Gentlemen, you think you're ready to vote?
I'm not even sure. Are you?
Kinda.
All right, go for it.
Are we okay?
I'm going to count on your vote to help convince me.
Okay, well, look, Dracula, again, has spanned the test of time. I think that just the amount of people that could tell you exactly who Dracula is speaks to how well known his character is. I don't think any combatant on this list is more iconic than Dracula. I mean, he's been featured in video games. Castlevania's main enemy is Dracula. And that in and of itself is a huge franchise. Van Helsing, Dracula, and then all of the spin-offs that come from the story of Dracula. On the other hand, Mike Myers he's just a slasher icon. He doesn't win. Dracula wins.
That was a quick swerve.
Yeah, that you swerved the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I was trying. I want to give Mike Myers all due flowers, but it's fucking Dracula, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm sitting here being Dracula's advocate for most of this section, I mean, I'm convincing myself, right? Like, Dracula, it's Dracula. Yes, it has eclipsed horror potentially to the point where now it is in Sesame Street and it's serials and it's in kids movies and it's, become a parody of itself. What?
I see where you're going with this. And again, I said I was waiting on maybe your votes would sway mine, but Dan kind of did. And I want to get a point in here before you cast your official vote. Because I do agree with what you're saying. Dracula's icon level is indisputable. And I think we've done a lot in this bracket, in this entire conversation, of weighing horror and weighing icon and weighing them against each other. And in some of the arguments, we said the horror level outweighed the icon and vice versa. But I think we have to take into consideration that ultimately in the end of this, what we are naming is our overall top horror icon, right? Those two words together. Dracula is an icon, but he is no longer a horror icon. He is blown past that. He's blown outside of that box. He's not in that box anymore. He's bigger than that box.
It's a big box.
It is a big box, but he's bigger than it. And I feel like for me, it's respectable and it's commendable, but it doesn't win this category. I think when I'm thinking about a horror icon, to me, Michael Myers is more of that than Dracula is. Dracula is a greater icon, but he is not a horror icon anymore.
I hear you. I see you.
I feel seen.
I respect you.
I feel heard. And I feel respected.
I
feel a finger. I don't know whose it is, but I like it. So don't stop.
I think I'm going to kind of finish my point, I think, from...
I know, I just cut off your whole vote, but it felt like it was going the other way, and I wanted to throw my 2 cents in before we called a winner.
No, I hear you. I mean, I think, to me, when I think of Dracula, because there are a lot of those, to your point, he's gone outside the box of just horror, right? He is comedy. He is, even We Live in the Shadows is just...
I love that show.
A fucking parody of what Dracula started as, right? Like it's just is what it is.
It's what we do in the shadows.
That's What did I say?
We live in the shadows.
I've heard it both ways. But I when I think of Dracula, I think of... I've watched the majority of that show. I fucked up. I think of what it came from. And I think of Vlad the Impaler, and I think of Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the Count and Transylvania.
Boo buckets at McDonald's, Happy Meals.
Maybe, but I think that you don't get there without being at the top of the mountain. Like, you don't get there without being the icon. Can you guys see Oliver hiding in the blanket?
I do
behind
see
me?
him, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think his icon status has grown to the point where it is beyond being a horror icon. That's honestly, it's what I'm saying. It's exactly what you're saying. I just think that because he's gone past that point, when I think horror icon, I picture Michael Myers. I don't picture Dracula anymore.
Do you think they could make a true Dracula horror movie again?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thought, is that to the general population, Dracula is much more accessible in terms of his horror level. But at the very core of what that character is, he's fucking terrifying. The things that he can do, the way that he can haunt you, the way that he can hurt you and kill you. Or, if he wanted to, make you his indentured servant for
that's
the rest.
Second time that the word indentured servant came up today, and that's weird.
It make you his for the rest of eternity.
And all it would take, like from a psychological perspective for Dracula, right? All it would take is an attraction to you for him to decide, all right, well, I'm going to stalk this bitch until, I can get them alone and they invite me in.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to, you could turn out a fucking terrifying Dracula movie.
So FYI, for those of you in the studio and the millions
And millions
of listeners watching at home,
including Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
We know you're listening.
Shit, I totally forgot. Oh, Nosferatu. They're making a new Nosferatu movie. So, I mean, there is a new...
Does it star one of the Skarsgårds? It feels like it would.
I think it does.
Wait, please tell me I'm right in guessing that.
Fucking course.
I think... All right, so Nosferatu... Yeah, Bill Skarsgård.
Oh my God, I was right. Nailed it. And William Dafoe. Yeah, that checks out.
Willem Dafoe, first of all.
Willem. What did I say? William Dafoe. That's fucking hilarious.
So I think that speaks to what... This is not what I thought was going to be the battle of the episode, to be honest with you.
I'm kind of surprised by your vote, Scott.
Yeah,
I am a little bit too.
I've got to cast my vote. Michael Myers moves on. I want to see him fight Pennywise. I do. I agree. I think Dracula is the icon.
Oh my God.
But I truly think Michael Myers versus Pennywise is the best finale that we could have.
Yeah,
oh my God. I can't believe.
Here's a point I want to throw at you, okay? You go out on the street, and as people are walking by, you ask them, name a character from a horror movie. You're not going to get Dracula anywhere near as often as you might get Michael Myers.
Can I give you a challenge, Scott?
To go out on the street and do that?
Yeah, you're going to Disney soon.
Just walking around Disney going, name a character from a horror movie.
Yeah.
But do it on the Instagram.
You guys know me well enough. If I'm waiting in line behind somebody for some churros or some shit, I will do this.
You know what, though? Like, honest to God, that would be a great Instagram, like, reel. We could attach it to this episode and...
My wife might get mad at me. If I can do it without her getting mad at me, you have a deal.
Get one of those selfie sticks and just carry that around. I
have a selfie stick. I don't need to go get anything.
Well, then
oh my God, how did I not think about packing my selfie stick? I got to do that.
I have to assume that your wife is kind of like always in that state of the, like the Hulk. Her secret is that she's always angry at you, and that's how she stays so calm.
Yes, but to be fair, I am the nuclear waste of her superpowers. Like so
he has caused her to do that.
Yes, I am. To say that she's always a little mad, it's because it's justified. I've done something a little stupid at all points during the day. So yes, exactly. Wait, what were we talking about?
Well, I think that it's time to get into the final matchup. The terrible 2, the terrifying 2.
I will test that theory in Disney. I will ask people to name horror movie characters, and they will not say Dracula. All right, Michael Myers versus Pennywise. Holy cow, can you believe it? I feel like, again, if people actually listened to this podcast, we would have some angry letters.
Yeah.
But thankfully no one does. So here we are. Hey, if you are listening,
thank you.
I hope you're passionate enough to write us an angry letter.
We've gotten at least one before.
That's true. It was an angry Facebook comment. Anyway, Michael Myers versus Pennywise. What do we got? How you feeling? Ready to vote?
I mean, I can go with my gut here. I mean,
I was just kidding.
So I am ready to vote if we need to.
No, we don't need to.
But
you really feel that passionately already?
I think so.
Yeah, I kind of am with him. And what's crazy is that my vote would have been completely different had Dracula won the last round.
Well, that just kind of gives it away then, doesn't it?
No.
Now I'm confused. I guess that's the point. That doesn't make any... Okay, anyway.
Dracula would have won for me the whole thing if Dracula made it through. Now, that's not the case, and it's more of an even battle between the two. But I still have a favorite.
There, no, okay. Like I said, that kind of makes... Anyway. So you both are like just ready to go. I need convincing. I'm not sure I'm ready to go.
Dan, do you want to try to convince first? Opening arguments?
I mean, look, I have known Scott a long time, and I can count on one hand the amount of times I've actually been successful at convincing him of something.
4 of those happened in this podcast sometime.
Yeah.
That's not
I
true.
don't think
I was highly inebriated for all of them. It's the only way that a Dan idea sounds like a good idea.
It's lots of boob.
Lots of boob.
Once
just
he takes his shirt off, I can't say no.
Large boob.
Once he takes that shirt off, I can't say no. You know?
Yeah, that's my superpower. Geez, where did we go wrong? All right, for me, I think again, you have Michael Myers, which is whatever you guys say. It's our personification of the slasher movies. And you have Pennywise, which I think has more of an expansive touch, right? I think Pennywise is probably more iconic than Michael Myers, but I think that is very even. So, to me, it comes down to horror level, right? If Icon is about even, then you have to go horror. And I think of these two, there is definitely one that I can't outrun, that I can't outwit or outlast. Survivor.
Fucking
okay.
dork. You're fucking nerd.
So let me throw my thoughts out here. So I agree with you. I think that they are on a similar level of iconic. I don't think that one is more iconic than the other, especially not Pennywise. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just feel like Michael Myers is much more pervasive in the genre than Pennywise is. But I think their icon status is very, very even. Their horror status is also very even. So to me, like, I'm never going to watch it because I'm a bitch and I don't want to be scared. And I hate clowns. I like and will watch most of the slasher movies. I've watched almost every Friday the 13th. I've watched most of the Screams. I've watched Saw. I've watched all of Saw, right? Like all of them. Freddy Krueger. I can do all of that. The one slasher that I don't watch because I'm terrified of it is Halloween. Like, I think that to me, what it really boils down to is what is more iconic, paranormal or slasher?
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, you guys both made your points. So do you want to go ahead and cast your official votes?
Daniel?
Hold on, I'm just looking. Okay.
Get
So
your readers on.
when I just go to Amazon and search Pennywise, there are over 1,000 results. And
isn't that going to also bring up like band merch?
The band stuff and anything that has Pennywise in the description anywhere.
Oh, but there are more. Even with that, there are more Michael Myers results that come up when you just search Michael Myers. There's even a Michael Myers Chia Pet. And look, there. Oh, okay, never mind. I found a Michael Myers Halloween card.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that. I do think, again, Pennywise is kind of similar to Chucky in that the fan base for that particular character is very devoted to it, but it's not the majority, and at least not in comparison with this debate we're having here. I think Michael Myers, like Matt said, is more pervasive and more part of the cultural zeitgeist than Pennywise is per se. Because I think you can all like. I think if you walk up again, talking to about interacting with random people in the street, more people are going to know who Michael Myers is than if you walk up to somebody and say, "Do you know who Pennywise is?" They might know what it is. They'll know the movie, but they're not going to. Not as many people know the character name. Michael Myers, I think some people might be confused and think you're talking about the dude who voices Shrek, but
Donkey.
but not as often. But again, that suspended state of fear and horror is, I mean, again, the long lasting torturous effects of that is pretty terrifying compared to, again, just being brutally murdered by Michael Myers. It's end of life versus continued torture, right?
So what are you thinking? Do you want to cast your vote to start, Scott? You've been last on both of our other matchups today.
Sure. I'm going to start it. I'm going to say that again, when I take the words and put them together and I think of a horror icon, Michael Myers is more top of mind for me in that category than Pennywise is. I think that Pennywise is slightly scarier because of that constant tortured fear state, but the icon level of Michael Myers to me is higher, and I think that puts him in that horror icon category. So I'm going to say Mike Myers.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. That was me casting my official vote, and the clock is now on someone else. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I can't believe you all think that Pennywise is less known than Michael Myers. I don't even think Michael Myers is the best of the slasher villains, right? I voted for Jason Voorhees over Michael Myers, but y'all two were wrong.
No.
Yeah.
I just edited that episode.
Yeah. I did vote. Oh, no, you're right. I didn't vote for... Well, anyway.
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I still don't think Michael Myers is actually, even though we voted him as the personification of the slasher, I don't think he's the best. So my vote is 100% for Pennywise. I think Pennywise is just as iconic, and I think Pennywise is way more scary.
All right. So where's your sound effect for casting your vote?
Wah, 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 wah.
All right. Could you imagine being at the ballot box and you cast your vote and then it's wah, 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 wah. All right. Michael Myers, Pennywise. As I mentioned, to me, I think what it really comes down to is what is more iconic is the genre, right? The supernatural, the paranormal, the Pennywise comes from, the demons, the ghosts, the instilling fear into victims, the shape-shifting, all of that kind of stuff. Or slasher. And slashers with the unbeatable, unkillable, somehow always have constant stamina, chase you down with a weapon of their choosing, slasher flicks. Man. I think that the paranormal genre is more interesting to me. I don't like watching them, but I like reading about them. I like learning about spirits and ghosts and demons and all of the things that, could exist out there. I find that more intriguing than slashers. Shit, I also find just serial killers more intriguing than slashers. Like, there's more psychological aspect to it. But slashers have been kind of the horror genre since the late 70s, right? I mean, it has been, when you think of a movie coming out on Halloween, you think of a slasher flick more than a paranormal movie.
You don't think about Blair Witch Project or
Look, nobody thinks about the Blair Witch Project anymore. But I mean, you're not wrong, right? Paranormal Activity, again, The Ring and fucking Sinister and all of the other
The Conjuring,
creepy ass movies that exist in that genre. So if I'm going to be completely honest, if I'm going to be real, my horse in this race, because it sounds like both Dan and Scott had a horse in this race. Dan's was Dracula. Scott's was Ghostface. Mine was Jason. Like, Jason was my guy kind of growing up. I'm still not quite over Michael Myers beating him. But I do think, I think I agree with Scott. I think when you talk to people about horror icon, Michael Myers has held that top spot for a long time. And just the fact that I won't watch the Halloween movies, I think I got to move Michael Myers into the winner's circle.
Where's your sound effect?
I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. So that gives us our winner of the first ever and maybe last horror icon championship, Michael Myers.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, who'd have thought it?
It checks out. I feel like it checks out. I'm all right with that end result.
Yeah, me too. I mean, shit, his franchise is named Halloween.
I mean,
pretty deserving.
I do think that alone carries some weight, right? Is just he has adopted Halloween. And I think when you talk about spoopy season and you talk about spoopy things, you talk about spoopy Michael Myers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's been another episode of a podcast. That's been
another
bracket.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what do we have to look forward to next week?
We will be doing another mini mystery bracket next week. We're going to have a little bit of a, what do you call it? A palate cleanser. Take us out of spoopy season and into eat a lot season.
Eat a lot season.
Yeah. Holidays, eat a lot. So we may have a guest for that mini mystery bracket. We will see.
If all the pieces fall into place. As usual, we want to thank everyone for listening. Check us out on all the socials at BRACKETALLOGY at Bracketology. We're on the TikToks, we're on the YouTubes, we're on the Facebooks, we're on the X, formerly known as Twitter. We're on
Can
Instagram.
you just go back to calling it Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, we really should. Yeah, we're on all of those things. So check us out, like, subscribe, follow, etc., etc.
We also want to thank, for the final time,
Ooh.
as soon as I find his name,
the guy who supplied our music that you hear at the beginning and end of
Carl
all this
Casey.
bracket, whose name is definitely what?
We want to thank Carl Casey at White Bat Audio for the song Sanity Unravels for the final time in this spoopy season, providing us our opening and our closing.
Awesome. That everything? That a full episode?
It's a full episode.
I think that's it. All right. Once again, I've been a co-host, Scott.
Oh, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dan.
I was waiting for Dan to go. We've done 35 episodes of this. And we've done it in the same order every time. And I fucked that up. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.